Listen in and learn from
the best in e-commerce. You're listening to eCommerce All-Stars with Josh Marsden.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to eCommerce All-Stars. So I've got an incredible episode for you today. I've got Earnest Epps here in front of me. And Earnest Epps is an international speaker. He's a digital marketing entrepreneur, and he's also the CEO of Earnest and Associates. Earnest has 10 years of marketing and sales experience and has been able to take both offline and online marketing strategies to help people combine them both into a marketing powerhouse for running successful online e-commerce businesses. He's truly like one of the leaders when it comes to e-commerce altogether. He's known as one of the experts when it comes to drop shipping, and he's just a great guy. He's so altruistic when it comes to his mission to help other e-commerce owners. So you definitely are going to love this interview. You're going to want to follow him also after this interview because he just is going to provide a ton of valuable content. He has such powerful wisdom to share with you, especially after this interview when you decide to follow him. So with that said, Earnest, welcome to eCommerce All-Stars. Thanks for being on. I appreciate it.
What's up, Josh, man? I'm super fired up for today, man. People should be ready to rock and roll with all the amazing awesomeness that you've been providing.
Man, I always have a blast like connecting with you. And I don't say that about everybody, and there's no knock on anybody that I've connected with because, I've connected with some awesome people that are just phenomenal. But I don't know why, but I just always have this energy whenever I'm connecting with you. And I think it's just, your personality and your presence, you just have like this swagger about yourself, man. I mean, where does that even come from? I'm just curious.
It's just the thing is just so much like nonsense out here, like in the world that could distract us from, being positive and progressing and having good energy that, one of the decisions I just made is just to focus on just the positive stuff and making sure I'm always creating that right type of environment for other people, especially when I'm connecting with someone, I always take myself out of the picture and just focus on the person that I'm connecting with and making sure I'm putting them in the right type of environment for them to, feel good, feel comfortable, and just to know that, hey, like whatever it is that we're discussing, like it's going to be good regardless of whatever mood we get started in.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, you're just a really good, good guy, good person. And, in all my experiences with you, it just comes across so like naturally. And anyway, I know I'm just loving on Earnest Epps right now, but I just want the audience to really like know who you are and why, that you're just such a awesome person to follow and to be around. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, especially for people that don't know who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, my name is Earnest Epps, and like Josh had mentioned, I've been in the e-commerce industry for a few years now on a consistent basis. And I know you might be like, what do you mean on a consistent basis, right? Because my journey, actually, most people just look at the last 3 years of like my e-commerce journey because that's when I really started creating some success. But honestly, it started back in 2009. I actually received a flyer in the mail, like literally a direct mail flyer to teach me how to make money on the internet. I know it's like weird.
Where was it from?
Honestly, I don't even really remember the company. They invited me to like a workshop, and then at the workshop, they like sold me on the next workshop, and then at that workshop, like they sold me on this other thing, and then I ended up spending $15,000 to learn how to build a business online. And then I didn't even realize like how crazy it was because they gave me a set of DVDs to learn how to build a business online. Like, shouldn't I have been learning online where I'm building a business?
Right. Well, I think in that day and age, back in 2009, 2010, it was definitely a little harder to build out a membership site. It was possible, but, I think that it was definitely harder versus the way it is today.
Oh yeah. They were teaching people HTML and CSS and all that good stuff. So It was definitely pretty challenging, but I did what most people do, like when they first get started in entrepreneurship. And I don't want to say like most people or all people, but at least it was something for me where when I got started, I really didn't take it serious. And I used the phrase I tell people, I kind of poked at it a little bit for a few years, meaning that I did stuff when it was convenient. I did stuff when like I felt good. And I did stuff when it was like, I just work on the business tonight. I ain't got nothing else to do. And so, I didn't really see any type of results from 2009 to 2015. And it wasn't until I decided to actually take, building a business serious that I was able to actually make some serious income with that, specifically like with e-commerce. Right. And so, decided to get serious in 2015. Actually, I remember the exact day because it was a complete just game changer in terms of like my mindset, because I made a promise to myself. So this was September 2nd, 2015. And I promised myself, I said, you know what, Ernest, just for 30 days, let's try this business thing out for real. Like, let's make a real full blown commitment. Because what actually happened was in 2013, I ended up getting laid off from a corporate job where I was working at. So, and that literally, when that situation happened, I mean, it absolutely just destroyed my entire world at that point in time. I mean, it just broke me mentally, spiritually. And I just, I was just kind of messed up after that, because I had literally just put in so much time, energy, and effort to helping the company I was working for grow. I mean, to the point where, like, when my kids were being born in the hospital, I was on conference calls. I was like, doing payroll. Like, I'm taking and doing stuff like, my son's like being delivered, like fresh out the oven, right? I'm sitting here on the phone, Wow. So like I was making those sacrifices, because I've always been a person that had like really, really good work ethic, and I never had a problem working hard. But, when that happened, it was just like, I just felt devastated, just robbed. Like someone just took my future, because I really thought I was going to be the CEO of that company. I mean, I was mentally locked in, like the next 40 years, like I'm going to be the CEO. I'm going to climb the ladder. Like, I was already climbing the ladder working there. So, man, I got fired, and I was just like, oh, man.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what to do, man.
Yeah. It can rock your world when something like that happens. It's unexpected, and how many kids did you have at the time?
So at that time I had 2, and we had the third one on the way.
Okay. See, and that's a stressful time. You got one on the way. You already have 2 kids,
Oh, bro. Like and the thing is like, I was taking a lot of the money. I was saving it up. Like, we were living in a 1-bedroom basement apartment, like a 1-bedroom. It was me, my fiance, 2 kids, her mom. At one point, her sister moved in. Like, we're in a basement. So we were sleeping on the couch, and the kids were staying in the room with grandma, and grandma actually had the bedroom. So it was a real tight situation, just 1 bathroom. And it was just like, I had that, we were saving up to actually get a house. And, I was preaching like, hey, like, let's just, get through this season. Let's just save up some money, things of that nature. And things are going to be able to turn around. And it was just like, that just came out of nowhere. And it was just like, wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, sometimes, I think that a lot of people get started because of something just, absolutely devastating, that happens in their lives, like what happened to you. So where is Earnest Epps now in his life after the success you've had, especially over the past few years? How's your life now?
Oh man, things are absolutely spectacular. Like, some days I just get up and just like, wow, like I can't believe, like I'm literally living out everything I used to dream about. I mean, I got the opportunity to go to Rome, and that was like one of the things I didn't think I was going to be able to do till I was like 50 or 60. It was like on the, what people call like their bucket list. Yep. Where I tell people they should have a life list. Like, what stuff should we be looking to achieve now? Like, let's not wait later. Let's get it in right now, because we can absolutely do that if we position ourselves in the right way with the right vehicle. And, obviously with e-commerce, being able to manage your business anywhere from in the globe and being able to scale that bad boy up no matter where you are, and inevitably set it up where you can manage probably, like myself, 90% of your business from your cell phone. So you can have a multi-million-dollar company doing so. Yep. And so, I've been able to speak all over the globe. If you guys are, watching the live video, I got a shirt on that says Bali Ecom Mastermind. So I actually got invited to speak at a mastermind in Bali. Shortly after that, I got invited to speak in the Philippines. Before that, I was in Thailand. I went to Vietnam. Then I went to Hong Kong, and I went to Auckland, New Zealand. Before that, I was in Barcelona, Paris, London, Rome, Poland. I actually ended up in Poland by mistake.
Man, true globe traveler right here. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. So like e-commerce has literally just opened up just this a massive, opportunity for myself and my family to be able to just have like really true freedom away from like, being able to have to, trade hours for dollars and being able to position ourselves to take advantage of all the amazing things that life has to offer.
That's awesome, man. And did you move out of that 1-bedroom apartment?
Oh, yeah. We're definitely out there. We got a 5-bedroom house. We got a jacuzzi tub downstairs. We got a nice fenced-in backyard. We literally, like, right where my house sits at, it sits on, like, this big, giant lake, and there's, like, a beach that's right there. I got a restaurant, like, right there in the neighborhood in my house, and it's a gated community. So,
nice. Yeah. You guys have definitely moved up. Yep, that's awesome, man. Yeah, good for you. Kind of, I feel similar feelings, when I, really let myself have gratitude and I look around and I realize like all the nice things that I have in my life too. I mean, I live in a really nice, community in downtown Scottsdale that's pretty fancy. Scottsdale is known as Snobsdale to the Phoenix local, so, and I'm not from Scottsdale. I'm from like suburbs like of Phoenix that are much more humble, but
you guys can see his office right now, man. That thing looks pretty fancy, man. You got all the, green in the background, got the, windows and everything. Looks pimped out over there, man.
Yeah, this is my house. This is my office space in my house, which is cool. But yeah, it's a great condo, and I've got a restaurant downstairs, and I've got all sorts of awesome stuff within walking distance, Anyway, I don't have to go on and on, but I just, I really think that you and I are both very, blessed, basically, is what I'm getting at. And but we also had to work our tails off, and I know you've been working your tails off over the past few years.
Yeah. No, it's been absolutely, that's the biggest thing. I tell people, a lot of people ask, especially like when they launch their store or they're getting started, they're learning about e-commerce. It's like, man, how long does it take to get the first sale? Like, how long is it going to take to, actually see any type of results? And like they ask me like hours, like they want to quantify it. And the biggest thing is like, I hate when people ask me that question, not because I don't want to give them an answer. It's just because the answer for me is that I didn't count the hours. I just made the hours count. So, I mean, I just worked. If I wasn't at work at the time, because a lot of people forget that I didn't have, like, they think I didn't have a job when I started. They like hear about like all the stuff that I'm doing and everything that's happening. Like, Ernest, you never had a job. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, I was still working full time when I started. So I had a full-time job. At this point now I got 4 kids, and Beyonce is working full time. So like, it was a lot of stuff going on. Right.
Yeah, totally.
And so if I wasn't at work and if I wasn't doing anything with the family, I was literally just building my e-commerce business. If I rewind back again to that September 2nd, 2015, it was just either working full-time, family, or business. Like, it was straight up nothing else. I mean, as soon as I left the office, like, I was working on my business, and then having to do anything with the kids, helping out with the kids, like, and then working on my business. I mean, that was all I was doing, and just being relentless in the process. Because again, when I made that promise to myself, it's like, okay, like now you have to back it up with action and activity. And I didn't even look, like, I didn't even think about the possibility for failure. Not that I didn't think I could fail. Like, I was already used to failure, right? So from 2009 to 2015, I failed in a lot of stuff: affiliate marketing, network marketing, blog marketing. Like, I did everything. Right? And so I was used to that. So failure never even crossed my mind. I was used to the failing. So now it was only like focused on like the activity and action, like all this stuff that everyone's saying. All the amazing people that you're going to interview, Josh, like taking all that content and information in and just putting it into action and just saying, hey, let's see what happens when I actually put in the work and I go through the process, and let's see what's on the other side of that.
Yeah. Well, that's great, man. I mean, it's that mindset that helps, I mean, if you were just thinking about failure the entire time, you wouldn't be as motivated. You wouldn't, act out of positivity, out of like faith in yourself, out of confidence in yourself, you arguably wouldn't be where you're at right now.
Absolutely not, man. And I think that's the biggest thing is like people just really self-sabotage themselves. And then sometimes it's like the environment that self-sabotages you too as well. Just like, the negative spouse or the negative parents or the negative friend, like, bro, like nobody makes money on the internet. Like, what do you mean you think you can make money on the internet? Like, they forgot like Amazon's like $1 trillion company now, right? Like, and Bezos started off in his garage. Like, we forgot about it. We forgot Steve Jobs, Apple $1 trillion company started off in his parents' garage. Like, Come on, man.
Right.
Like,
American dream.
Literally, you know, especially if you're in America, man, like, oh my gosh, like we got so much opportunity here. You know, even just not even just e-commerce related, just in general, just to absolutely go out and crush it. And the biggest thing is just we hold ourselves back. And so for me personally, I knew that getting started. So one of the things I never did was I never talked to anybody about me doing e-commerce. And the main reason why I did that, and you know, I hope no one's here, but like, you know, mentally for myself, like I was just, my self-image was just so low that I knew that if anyone said anything, it would just deter everything that I was doing. Like it would just, you know, make me upset or get, you know, frustrated or angry or sad or whatever the case is. And so I didn't tell anybody because I knew that, and I knew I had to protect my mindset, knowing what I was actually doing. So, you know, that's one thing that I just kept to myself personally until like I actually had some results. And, you know, it didn't even take me 30 days. It only took me 22 days to actually see some fruits of that labor. And I like, as soon as I turned on ads, I got a sale for like $340. And I was like, oh my God, somebody wants something.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, let's dive into the goods. You know, I'd love to, you know, dive into like, I know you've got a presentation, some slides and things like that you want to share, but before we get into, you know, that stuff, I just want the audience to know just how much value that you have to provide here. So, you know, so here's my question for you. So what's like the biggest, you know, e-com related success to date that you've been involved with?
You know, my biggest success, I guess you could say, like, you know, if we look at the money, because everybody wants to know, like, how much money is people making in e-com and stuff. So it's being able to, you know, build an e-commerce store, just one store, to doing over 7 figures. Now I own multiple stores. You know, that store that I have will probably do within the next 2 to 3 years, at least 8 figures a year. So, you know, for now, just, you know, being able to build a store to hitting $1 million in revenue has been like my biggest success, I guess you could say, to date.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, and we're talking about one store and you have multiple stores.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can easily, you know, multiply that out. Like, you know, the other stores I have aren't doing quite as well. And one of the things I'm working on doing is systematizing everything, because I could get in there and do all the work myself and like focus solely on e-com. But like, you know, what's the point of like, you know, having a business if you're doing all the work, right? Yeah, the ultimate goal is to systematize, build a team, and monetize correctly so you can then scale. So I want to get to the point where the foundation is laid so well that I can just pour gasoline on the fire that's already lit.
Yeah.
So that's my thought process. And I guess you could say another success too, as well, is being able to help multiple other people build successful e-commerce businesses. I got over 100 people that I've been able to work with that have successfully been able to get results from doing $10,000 a month all the way up to $100,000 a month. Like I had a client of mine who he's actually a college student. And I did a session with him, and I didn't even know, like, after he took everything that we had worked on, he put it into action. Then he came back to me. This was just recently too. He was just like, "Oh, Ernest, by the way, I just had my first 100K month." I was just like, "Dude, where you been at?"
Oh, by the way,
he was like, "Yeah, I've done like $340,000 since we last talked." I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is so awesome!"
And he's a college student.
Yeah, he's a college student going to work full time, you know, living on his own. Actually, he just relocated because he had a university give him an offer to help with one of their locations that's actually in Thailand. So they relocated him to Thailand. He's going to school full time for his master's degree. And, you know, he's got a business on the side that's doing $100K a month. I mean, you know, it's so amazing. And the biggest thing I've told him, like, even when we first got started, like, "Hey, dude, I know you're focused on school." I never tell people not to do school because of, like, you know, I didn't necessarily finish with school, right? Or that doesn't always equate to like money, but it's unique at the fact that the position that he's in, because now he's got a business that, you know, let's just say conservatively, like worst case scenario, does, you know, $500,000 a year, right?
Right.
Like he now has this asset that where he does it, like he can go on and do what he wants in life based off of what he wants to do, and not based off of like how much money he's trying to make based off of like a job that he wants to get. So, you know, I think that's just really awesome. And it always like gives me like chills, like knowing that I've been able to help people like that. And yeah, we can go all day with success stories and stuff. I mean, that's just one of the recent that just happened. It was just, "Oh yeah, by the way, here, like I'm crushing it." I'm like,
I mean, you know, the guy's in college, you know, studying for his master's. He's relocating outside the country, probably to an area of the world that has a cheaper cost of living, right? And I mean, imagine all that money he's going to be able to save, and like where his life is going to be like in like, you know, 5-10 years from now if he uses that money wisely, right? I
Yep.
mean, he's in such a power position right now at that point in his life, and you helped him get there, though.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a huge blessing to be able to play a role in people's lives like that.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So, the 7-figure business, that success that you just, went over with us. What would you say are like some of the things that led to that? Like, if you could teach on that for like maybe the next few minutes, like, so what are some powerful takeaways you could provide the audience when it comes to how you were able to take that business all the way up to 7 figures?
Man, a lot of it was, different levels to the game, right? And the thing is that the more you immerse yourself into e-commerce, like the more you start to learn and the more you start to implement and, you start to figure out different ways to kind of scale up. As simple as when I got started, I didn't even really know what like an autoresponder was or like what an abandoned cart sequence was. Literally, guys, if you're listening to this, you're going to probably laugh at me, but like, when I seen an abandoned cart happen on Shopify, and the only reason I knew it happened because they have a little notification in the back, I would actually call the customer or manually email them in Gmail. Like, hey, Susan, you forgot about your product. Would you still like to order this? And I didn't even know you could automate that. It's something as simple as that I had no idea that, you could actually save some time on and now could, get you some results and you could automate.
That's funny. Just how far you've come.
Josh is like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have brought you on here, Ernest, but I'm glad you're actually winning so I can bring you on here now.
But we're talking in the right year.
Years ago.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, the biggest things is just, learning about automation, learning about, how to be able to improve like my conversion rate and then also not being like a one-legged stool. So one of the things that happened to me about 1.5 years ago was I got suspended on Google. And so obviously at that point in time, like I said, one-legged stool, that was my only traffic source. Right. So that's clearly a problem when you get suspended from the only thing that's driving traffic to your store. So
revenue just,
boom. I literally lost 90% of my income overnight. I was like freaking out. I honestly thought I was going to have to go get a job. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to get a job. No. It was like the worst thing ever. And so, I actually ended up calling a few friends of mine that are actually in the e-commerce industry that's kicking butt, and they gave me some recommendations about doing some SEO stuff, getting on other search engines. And so I got on Bing and started advertising on Bing, started doing some SEO. And so within like 2 weeks or so, I was able to recoup about another 20%. So now I'm at like 30% of my income now I was able to recover. And it gave me enough just to stay afloat until I was able to get my account unsuspended. But now that I'm no longer suspended, right, obviously I got it unsuspended. And as soon as that suspension came off, I did like 10 grand in like 2 days. I was just like, yes, I'm back in business, baby.
That's crazy.
But, just not being a one-legged stool. So, and that actually helped out. Now we talk about like scale, like, now I'm being able to drive traffic from other resources and stuff, just to Google PLAs by itself, that probably does, just $500,000 a year in revenue just from that one traffic source, just for that store. And then now with the other sources like Bing, AOL, Yahoo, leveraging email marketing and things of that nature a lot more, I'm now able to, have a business that if something were to happen, and again, something recently just happened too. I had some like crazy stuff that went on with some of my different credit cards and everything. So my Google account was suspended again for like, I think it was like 7 or 8 days, but I still had sales coming in from SEO and Bing, right?
Because you weren't just focused on one traffic source.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So, it's that helped out a lot. And it was just like, oh, well, now I got these other traffic sources too. I'm actually making more money. But the thing was, I got comfortable, with the one traffic source, right? It's like you get comfortable and like, things are going good. You're not having to do much work. Life was going amazing. And then
can't get comfortable. Yeah. It reminds me of the title of a book. It's by Andy Grove, the former CEO of Intel. I can't remember the exact title. I haven't read it yet. It's sitting in my bookcase. I haven't read it yet though. But it's basically about being paranoid, and that every business owner should always be paranoid. So, if anything, I think that experience you went through probably taught you that, hey, you know what, I can never be comfortable. I always need to be paranoid. I need to always be, thinking in terms of the worst case scenario and preventing that from happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Now it's all about diversification and, having multiple flows of revenue coming in, even outside of e-com, just other opportunities and stuff that I can maximize, to consistently have revenue going in. But the thing is, I want to reiterate this real quick for especially all the new listeners that's not experienced. Like, you need to focus on one thing first. Like, learn how to convert on one traffic source first. Like, if you're running Facebook ads, focus on how you can get your Facebook ads to convert. If you're running Google ads, figure out how you can get that traffic to convert. Don't try to do all, both of those or three things all at the same time, because the thing is that the traffic and the traffic source is going to be completely different. There's ways you need to optimize Facebook that's completely different than the way you need to optimize Google. I mean, it's completely different.
Totally different. Yeah, those platforms are totally different from each other. Speaking of which, for a newer e-commerce business that's, starting up their e-commerce, business, what traffic source would you recommend to them first?
Yeah. So when people ask that question, I always like to make sure people understand like what their model is, right? So what is the model that you're actually going with? I mean, and when I say model, I mean, like, are you drop shipping? Like, do you have like your own personal brand that you already got started and you're looking to like monetize that by selling physical products? And what's the price point of those products too? Because that's going to determine potentially like what traffic source can allow you to maybe like convert better. And then on top of that, what type of strategies that you're going to layer on that business first. And I know, Josh, you got a lot of experience with working with, multiple different types of businesses, from like stores that have, average order values of $20 to stores that have average order values of $1,000. Like, it's completely different. So, in terms of like the price point of your products, I would say, if you're selling products that's like less than $100, then you probably would have a better shot getting started on Facebook and leveraging a lot of your strategies around, a lot of urgency and scarcity in order to get people to convert quicker. Because, in those products, especially when you start getting to like the $20, $40 range, those can be impulse buys, meaning that, most people, they don't really have to think about their wallet to spend $20. Most people, not saying all people, I know I was at the point where I was very cognizant of like, man, if I spend this $20, can I make it home with the gas I got in my tank? Right. But again, we're talking about most consumers. Like, spending $20 is not, you don't really have to have a conversation about that. Now, literally, just
why do you say that? I'm sorry, Ernest, to cut you off there, but so why do you say that? So why is Facebook good for a business selling $20 to $40 widgets?
Yeah, because, you're able to get in front of those, like, target customers that, that don't really have to be so cognizant about, like, their spending habits. I mean, the thing about like Facebook ads is like, once you get Facebook your audience, you start running the ads, and if you start getting that audience to convert, Facebook's going to go out and find more of those people that have a high likelihood to convert, right? Right. And so in terms of like the buying decision process, that's what I'm more so concerned about, because Facebook's going to just send you more of the people that look like the people that already bought. So you're going to keep getting in front of those people, and that $20, $40, $50 decision isn't that big of a deal.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that also, cost per click, is going to be arguably, for the most part, not in all cases, but for the most part, cheaper on Facebook than, say, Google. And so if you're selling a $20 to $40 widget, then you can afford to pay for a customer on Facebook versus, paying for a customer on Google, for example.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then depending on like your campaign types that you can set up on Google too, like, you can literally have campaigns depending on the type that you set up, like where you're definitely going to lose money on the front end. But if you train the Google Pixel good enough, like you'll make money like 6 months down the road on those same campaigns. Right. But, those aren't campaigns I typically tell any type of new people to set up. Like, we won't even talk about them, so I don't mess nobody up. Like, I was listening to the podcast and Ernest said, do this. Nope, no, you ain't going to pin that on me, buddy.
Yeah, for sure. And, I know you mentioned, PLAs, and I know what they mean, but can you teach the audience what those mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So PLA stands for product listing ads. So this is the actual shopping section on Google and shopping section on Bing. So, if you're selling products that's over like $100 price point, and again, we reference the price point because, things that are more expensive obviously are going to have a little bit longer of a buying cycle. And I would preferably love to drive people to my store that actually have intent on that. And see, the thing is with Facebook, you can't control like whether or not someone's actively searching for what it is that you're actually selling. Facebook doesn't have an option for that. Facebook isn't referred to as a search engine, right? Like people don't go to Facebook looking up stuff. Like sometimes some people do, but for the most part, like 99% of fake people on Facebook, like they're going there to socialize. It's a social network, right? But when people go to Bing, or in Google, they go in and they type exactly what they're looking for. So, I just got a sale just before this session started. That was $1,400 from Google, right? And it was someone that went to Google and typed in like, hey, I'm looking for X product, X SKU number with X dimensions. And obviously I'm one of the few people that pop up for the product. And it's just like that person already, went, like they already had the intentions on getting the product, right? So I didn't have to convince them to get something that they, didn't want to get already. And I'm just getting in front of that customer that's looking for the product, in the shopping section, and they see the product there, they see the price. So by the time they click on that, because we don't have to pay when they click. So by the time they click on that, they're already in that sense of like, hey, I potentially want to buy this product.
Right. Yeah. The intent's totally different. And then you make a good point too, that with Google, you're paying for the click. With Facebook, you're paying for the impression. You're paying for the ad to be shown. So it's a little different. But that's cool, man. Well, I know that, you wanted to, be a part of this, and I really appreciate you being a part of this. And you had some specific like strategies and specific tactics that you really wanted to like reveal, so this way, you're basically, giving out ammunition, so to speak. Some people may not like that gun reference, but you're giving out ammunition to the audience here. This way they can, grow their e-commerce businesses further. So what strategies and tactics do you want to share today?
Absolutely. So let me get this pulled up for you guys. And pretty much like what I'm going to be covering is just, the biggest thing that I always have people focus on outside of like, obviously, like we talked about like the traffic source, right? Like where we want to drive traffic from. But the most important thing is, can you get people to convert once they get to your store or once they get to your business? Nothing else matters if people aren't converting, meaning they're turning from a potential customer or visitor into buying customer. Right. And so I'm just going to drop a couple things for you guys today, just, that I think are extremely valuable, and some of the things that you may have potentially heard of before. But, I'm just going to reiterate because I just know how powerful they are. And then some people that, you're just getting started, or maybe you've been in the game a little bit. You're like, I never thought about doing that. This would be some good references for you guys too. So
I really appreciate you, diving into this too, because, so many like newer e-commerce business owners, they're so concerned with traffic, and traffic is so easy, really, when you think about it. You can buy traffic.
I laugh when people like say like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get people to my store?
Yeah. I hate it when people say like, the traffic I was getting in my store sucked. I didn't, convert. And my first thought is, okay, where are you driving traffic? What's happening after you get the click, because that's really what matters more than the traffic, in my opinion. I mean, yes, there is definitely targeting and things like that, and optimization and identifying, the best performing segments of your overall audience, and things like that. Yes, of course. But the funnel and everything happens after is so much more important, in my opinion, than traffic. Traffic's pretty easy. So I love that you're diving into this. I know this is going to be like incredible.
Yeah, man, that's one of the things I focused on, honestly. So like one of the secrets to my success getting started was I focused more on optimizing on the store and the product pages than I did like anything else. Like I didn't focus on even like the quality of traffic. Like I didn't even understand how all that stuff worked, honestly, for like my first year, and like, $300,000 later. I mean, I didn't learn any of that stuff till long after a year of being in e-commerce. I focused on like what I can do to optimize the store and what I can do to get people to optimize the product page to get people to buy today.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, it's so important for the audience to hear that, because that just tells the audience that don't worry about, don't worry so much about your traffic. I mean, get traffic, obviously, and make sure it's targeted, and, make sure it's like the most cost-effective traffic you can get, and things like that. And you've got good ads, et cetera, good ad performance with your KPIs. But focus on, like you said, focus on your funnel, focus on your website, focus on those areas to get yourself up to that multiple six figures. And then maybe if you need to, tweak and optimize, what you're doing on traffic to scale further, then great, get to that point. But really focus on everything that happens after the click. So again, love
Absolutely.
that you're.
I'm not saying like discredit the traffic. Like, I mean, like if your store is like, sells products that's for males, like, don't drive a bunch of females to your store like that. That traffic ain't gonna convert no matter what, right? If it has a male intention of like, the type of product, right? Like if you're selling dog products, don't like, target people that like kangaroos.
Yeah.
So that is important. Don't
unless you've got an ad targeting females, that's designed to, convince, wives and girlfriends to buy your significant other XYZ, whatever that XYZ product is. But anyway,
yes,
small caveat there. But anyway, I don't want to hold you back, man. I know you got some great stuff here, so go ahead and take it away.
Indeed. So yeah, we'll go over, number one here, and I got 3 nuggets for you guys today. All right. So the first one is, man, guys, get a business phone number for your website. Now, it's so funny because a lot of people think that, this should only be utilized and leveraged for high-ticket e-com stores, because, again, that's one of the things I'm most commonly known for is, like, selling products that have a high price point to them, right? But, man, I mean, this literally, like, this works for high-ticket, low-ticket, no-ticket. I mean, like, put a business phone number on your store, because it's going to help you out in multiple ways. Number one, like, the whole purpose of having the business phone number is to, like, the goal is to build trust with your customers, to know that if they could reach out to you, again, your business, right? Like, why are you guys hiding phone numbers? Like, why do you guys don't even have a phone number? Why do you guys don't have ways for people to be in contact with you? For your business? I see so many e-com stores that don't leverage this one thing right here. And I'm telling you, like, you're possibly losing out on a good portion of your business, because you got to remember, too, especially depending on, like, the target demographic of who you're selling to. Now, I would hope that you're selling to people that, have larger disposable incomes, people that are a little bit older, because those are the people that are actually going to spend more money. Like, let's face it, like that 18, 19, 20-year-old kid that's in college, he probably ain't got $1,000 just sitting off to the side like, I can just blow this, right? Like, there's a little bit more thinking about that. Or if he is blowing, he's blowing on like a party or a car or something like that. But, those people that's more mature, those are going to be people that potentially might not want to do those orders with you on the internet. They might just want to do a phone order. Like, there's a good portion of the market that's out there that only likes to place orders over the phone, or they just want to verify that something's in stock or something of that nature. I mean, I had my VA message me about one of the products as I was driving here. It was a $400 product, and she just said, "Hey, I got this customer on the line. They want to know if this product's in stock. They just wanted to make sure before they bought it." Like, like, we didn't have an ability for them to reach out to us. That would have been a missed opportunity for today, right?
Wow. Yep.
And again, this is especially huge for high-ticket e-com stores, but and I used to only tell people, like, with high-ticket e-com stores, like, this was like something that you definitely wanted to do. But I was just listening to a really, really big-time marketer in the e-commerce space the other day, and he does a lot of low-ticket products. And he said one of the things that he does is he puts a phone number on his stores. And I was just like, whoa. Like, that was the first time I knew of someone other than myself that really, like, mentioned that. And that was one of the things that he says that he leverages in his business. And he said even he would receive phone calls from customers from, like, people that wanted to put in, like, large quantities, or people that just wanted to do some verification. I mean, like, that's just missed opportunities that you're missing for your business by not having that.
Yeah, I mean, people are used to that. They're used to being able to call stores. So you definitely want to, if you're gonna, run a real business, you need a phone number.
Yeah, think about any, like, business that you actually wanted to, like, do business with, or, like, buy something from. Like, in my opinion, it would be weird not seeing a business phone number, or not having a way to, like, really, like, contact the person that was, like, easily, like, readily available, right? Yeah. So the gentleman I was referring to, he puts his phone number, because he runs a lot of funnels, and so he puts his phone number in the footer of the page on the funnel.
That's
I mean,
good.
so even if you're running funnels, like, still definitely utilize that. And it's going to boost your credibility. It's going to boost your trust. And it's going to also allow you to take advantage of those customers that don't want to place orders directly on the internet.
Definitely. Yep. Totally agree, man. Have you, and if you don't, that's cool. But have you ever had like maybe like a student, for example, in your community that didn't have a phone number, and then they implemented a phone number and they saw like a spike in just sales? Did you have maybe an example, like a specific,
Oh yeah, I got tons of people that have leveraged that, and they weren't using like a business phone number, or they weren't using like credit card logos in order to like increase the trust of their website, and it significantly increased conversions. I mean, even the gentleman that I mentioned earlier who did 100K in his first, well, not his first month, but that had a recent 100K month.
Yep.
That was one of the things that he added to his business that he wasn't utilizing before.
Nice.
So yeah,
Nice.
there's
Okay. Yeah, it totally makes a difference. I just wanted to really, hit that point home that, this isn't, fluff. This is something that really can make a huge impact, so yeah, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like, with the credibility with having the phone number is, some like just seeing it, just knowing that it's there, like gives people peace of mind. Like, okay, like, I can reach out if I wanted to. It doesn't mean that you're going to receive like, if you're driving like 1,000 visitors a day, it doesn't mean that all 1,000 are going to call you, right?
Right.
It's just going to be a small portion that do. But here's the other thing too, guys. Like, this is also why having a phone number is so important. You can literally get the live feedback from your customers, like in terms of like them actually reaching out to you and calling you. Like, that can be the new copy that you put on your sales page. That can be the new copy that you put into your buying guides. Personally, for me, like, that's how I created a lot of the assets, like, and how I still do create assets for my sites is based off of the customer feedback.
So can you maybe kind of deep dive for a moment into that? So what do e-commerce owners need to do when they're on the phone with people? Like, what are some questions or some just approaches there that they should take to be able to get that qualitative feedback, that feedback that they can use to really optimize their e-commerce sites? Yeah.
So here's the thing. Like, so when someone calls you and they haven't made a purchase yet, because the thing is, and this is something that we should have probably already mentioned too, like, what you guys got to remember as like business owners, like your most important job that you need to be every single day as a marketer. Like, every single thing that you need to do needs to be focused on marketing and figuring out how to become better at that one skill set, because that's going to be the complete game changer for your entire business, right? And so when, your customer calls you and they're asking you questions, like, they're literally telling you all the things that they need in order to make a buying decision. So if you can take that content and information and then now put that on your website or put that on that product page, don't you think that there's other people that probably have those same concerns, that now that if you address them pre-phone call, that they're going to have a higher likelihood to convert prior to actually reaching out to you?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Awesome, man.
I mean, literally, like, that's how I've, so my thing is, if I have someone ask a question, if I have customers and it's more than 2 or 3 people ask the same question and it's different people, that's one of the things I make sure that I make adjustments on the website for.
Totally.
So if I have someone ask me, for example, like, let's say for whatever reason, like, you don't have like the shipping times on your website. 3 people ask about shipping times. All right, now we need to add shipping times to the website. Maybe even something even simpler, product based, right? So you have 3 people all ask about what are the dimensions of this product. Now, you know that you have the dimensions of the product on the product page, but maybe you have them in the middle of the description. Maybe they're all the way down at the footer of the description. And so for whatever reason, people just don't scroll down there to see it. So now I move that up to the top of the description and I make it stand out by like quotations, bold, underline or something like that, because it's important. And that's one of the reasons why people aren't buying.
Right. Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, it's just demonstrating active listening and asking the right key questions, why are you interested in product XYZ? What concerns do you have about purchasing product XYZ? I mean, those are all basically copy questions to be able to like figure out how, you can optimize the copy, the copywriting on your product page. So, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's just a huge, and at the same time, fairly easy thing for e-commerce owners listening to this or watching this to do, in their business.
Yep. And then even like you talked about copy, right? So now taking that information and now also adding it into your email sequences.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons, like, once you buy this product, like, what are you going to do with it? Like, are you putting it in your living room? Like, are you taking it to your friend's house? Are you guys going out for the weekend? Like, maybe you're selling like, bows, right? You're like at an archery or something. Like, so what are you guys going to do with this, right? Do you have an archery in your neighborhood? And so taking that descriptive information, because again, if they're doing it, somebody else is probably doing it. You don't have to know anything about the product, but they're literally telling you everything that you need about the product. Or what's happening with the product. So you could take all that, add it into your email copy. I mean, guys, like this is some really solid gold nuggets right here to put together like real like customer case studies and use that in all your marketing.
Totally. And to take it just a little bit further, emails, chatbot messages, ads. I mean, you could put all that copy into all those different mediums to be able to like leverage that feedback.
Absolutely. Yeah, I look at that like live customer feedback to me is like the best type of feedback that you could possibly get, because like you're getting it directly from the person. Totally huge. Yes, indeed, man. We hit on that for a while, man. I know he's gonna go that deep, but man, this is like one thing right here could be a game changer for somebody's business today.
Really, yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of value that you can get out of that.
You're listening to eCommerce All-Stars. We'll be right back after this message.
eCommerce All-Stars.
Do you want the best results possible for your business using Facebook advertising? By listening to this show, you know the impact that listening to some of the best and brightest in e-commerce can have for your business. Right now, you can do the same for your Facebook advertising in Josh's powerful new book. In this book, some of the best Facebook advertisers for e-commerce that have collectively spent millions on advertising have revealed their powerful strategies and tips for getting the most out of every dollar spent on Facebook ads. Every contributor has also given their wisdom on how your business can stay ahead of the trends happening right now, so you can win into 2019 with Facebook ads without risking advertising dollars. Molly Pittman, J. Trevor Chapman, David Schloss, Sam Bell, Josh Marsden, and many more have truly given their best stuff in this book, Facebook Advertising Trends and Strategies for E-Commerce, the 2019 edition.
The best in e-commerce. eCommerce All-Stars.
Let's go to number 2.
Yep. So number 2. All right. And you just kind of stole my thunder, Josh, on the next one, but use live chat, baby. I mean, so here's the thing. So when I first installed live chat, and I installed live chat like 3 years ago, and like when I first started using it, I didn't notice any type of like positive feedback. It was just one of those things that was just kind of taking up space on the site. And so I decided to delete it. And get rid of it. And then I can't remember like the exact reason why. I think I was at a mastermind or something like that. And someone said, "Oh, I'm using live chat and I'm killing it." So I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's time to revisit that again, right? So hopefully you guys got a nugget out of that. So I installed live chat on the site again, and immediately like I started to see an increase in conversions. And it wasn't anything like overly crazy, but it was like an extra like 3% in conversions on the main store that I installed it on. So I was like, man, an extra 3% like bump, like that's now a lot of extra free money just by having it. And the thing is that even if you can't like, starting off, if you can't respond like immediately, people just like seeing the option, and they'll even reach out to you and have a question, and then you can respond back later. Because the cool thing about like live chat options is like you can have it set up to pop up and then, say, hey, leave us a message and we'll get back to you.
Yep.
Or, if you're fancy like Josh, you can build a bot out that responds back to people as if like, they're going through like live questions, right? I'm not that fancy. So I haven't gotten there quite yet. But, when I first installed that, I seen a bump in my conversions just by having it on the site. And I'm actually, personally for me, like I've never been someone that used live chat a lot, but I've started to use it a lot more probably over like the last year or two. And I didn't even notice it. Like, oh man, like now that I think about it as a consumer, like when I see the option, I do like using it on the website.
Totally.
And then I think consumers now are starting to get more, like they're getting used to like getting to more of that engagement on site, like through live chat applications.
Yeah, totally. Over just this week, which it's, as we're recording this on a Wednesday, so it's only been a few days into the week, but just this week, I think I've used at least 3 live chats off the top of my head. So the live chat is definitely something that is just, completely impactful when it comes to the shopping experience or, the support experience that you're providing on your website.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a nice little game changer for me. So 2.1. Okay. So this goes along with the live chat, right? Hire a VA to handle your customer service. And this right here was like a big game changer here recently for me. So just like this happening just on one store of mine, I made an additional $60,000 in revenue just by hiring a VA to handle my live chat and customer support over the phone. Like, and that's just like, I didn't change anything else. I hired someone that, had experience with customer service, and they started jumping on the live chat, handling the phone support. I mean, like there's days where we can receive orders for like $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 that were through a live chat conversation. I just processed an order earlier today that was $1,700. That was a live chat conversion.
Awesome.
I mean, yeah, this right here was big for me. Now, the thing is that I would say, like, I don't have and Josh, you might have some more feedback on this, but I don't have like a specific number that I would say like, hey, wait till you're driving X amount of visitors to your website. But now, like the store that I installed this on, we're driving between like, I want to say 600 to like 700 visitors a day. And so like, obviously that's a lot of traffic there. And like with that volume of traffic, there's obviously a portion of that of people that want to reach out. And so they have the option of doing that via live chat and over the phone. So I don't have like a specific like number to say, hey, at this point, like you should maybe get someone to hire over the phone. Josh, have you seen like any specific like recommendations with that?
Honestly, I would just recommend it to, e-commerce business owners that are at a point where, they've got some solid revenue, they've got solid profit, obviously. They want to be able to scale their own responsibilities. They want to get out of doing the day-to-day operations of their business. Because hopefully, by the time they've gotten to this point, they've already had a live chat, because there's so much value there, right? But they were the ones manning it. They were the ones taking the phone calls also. So hopefully, after that point, what they do, because they've got the additional profit, they can, really focus their time and their energy on, activities that are going to make a bigger difference to the bottom line. And that's, business development deals, affiliates, hiring team members, sourcing new products, things like that are really going to just make big impacts and bigger differences to the business than just taking customer, service support phone calls or handling live chat. So I think that when businesses feel like they're at that point or close to it, because a lot of times, I can attest to this in my own experience, a lot of times you don't know if you're ready, if the time is right for you to bring on someone else, because it's your business, it's your baby, you're nervous, you're spending money. Also, there's risk obviously with that. And I remember years ago, someone told me that, even though you don't necessarily 100% feel like you're there, if you feel like you're close to it and you're just nervous, you're really there. You just need to you need to take that action and take that step. And it's not a super comfortable step to take, but when you do, as you can see here from what Earnest is referring to, you could generate a lot of revenue completely hands off that has nothing to do with you because you've hired a VA to be able to help you with that.
Yep. Yeah. And for me, like it was to the point where, I was having more calls and stuff coming in on that store. And I was just like, man, I should probably get someone to start handling some of this stuff. Cause, I'm not doing it obviously. And it's not being, handled properly. So I was just like, you know what, let me go and hire somebody for this store to handle that. And I was like, holy moly, this lady's crushing it.
That's awesome, man. Well, cool.
Yeah. And so in terms of like technology wise, like, for me, I use Grasshopper to get all like my toll-free numbers, and that's because they have like some really awesome like fancy features that I think it's only like $20, $25 a month. So I like that aspect. And then I use Skype for the VAs for two reasons. So number one, like you can actually get a toll-free local number to where like your like the state that your store is registered in. So I like adding that little extra touch, like because some people like to actually do business with like businesses locally. So that's something I found out specifically in some of the niches that I'm in. So having that toll-free number listed on the site, but for me personally, more importantly, is because I create the Skype account. If anything were to happen, I could obviously change the password, remove that person, and not have to be concerned about, oh my gosh, how can I get my business phone number back?
Yeah, that's smart. Very smart. Nice.
Yeah, and so we gotta always be playing offense. As much as I love people, at the same time, some people are weird out here, man.
Hey, you just have to be protective of your business. It's your baby, so you definitely want to have those types of guards and backup plans in place in case something does happen.
Yep, absolutely. So number 3, guys. All right, and this was also a big win. Add an additional add to cart button on your product pages. Preferably, like if you could use like a dynamic one, that would work better. But before there was an app that was able to actually do this, I added. So you have the standard add to cart button that's at the top of the page. I wasn't fancy with it. I just went into the code of the site, found the add to cart button on like the product page, and I just added it to the bottom of the description. And I was able to increase my conversions by 7% just by having that. And one of the reasons I did that is because I noticed using a screen recording software like Hotjar or Lucky Orange, I was noticing people were scrolling down the page and then they would leave once they got to the bottom of the description. And I'm like, you just took all that time to read that description and you just left my site. It was just like a large amount of people that was doing that. I was like, that's a problem. I'm pretty confident you might have wanted to buy. So one of the things that really made me like hit home with this and start having a lot of my clients do this was that Amazon actually integrated a dynamic add to cart button on their website. Most of you guys probably haven't paid attention to it, but now when you go to Amazon and you start to scroll past like the add to cart button, it now moves to the top of the screen so you can easily click add to cart if you're ready to purchase.
Nice.
So, studying the big boys, and that's something else that you should do too, side nugget, study these big websites that are out here, Amazon, Wayfair, Walmart.com. One of the things I noticed Walmart did recently is that their desktop website is actually structured and based on kind of like a mobile layout. I don't know why they did that. Personally, I don't like it. I don't know if it's led to new conversions, but I know they did that about 6 months ago. So we'll see if they make any adjustments. But, all these little things like Home Depot, what other websites that are really big out here? Overstock.com, all these websites that are doing billions of dollars. I study these guys all the time. So
that's huge.
The cart button was a big thing that I did personally, and then I seen Amazon do it. I was just like, sweet, I guess I'm on to something.
I see a lot of wisdom there and nuggets because one, you set up your e-commerce store to be able to actually view that type of data and see what's going on with people. And, you'd notice, because you were doing the work, you're putting the work in, you notice that people were scrolling down, on the product page and they were then bouncing off. But they scrolled down, they did all the work, they spent time there, they read everything that was on that product page. And so like you said, you tested the hypothesis that if they scrolled all the way down, that you're going to be able to get, a certain percentage of those people that scroll all the way down and bounce to buy, right? And then you took action on that, tested it, and then you saw that bump in conversion performance, on your e-commerce site because you implemented that, which is really cool.
Yes, sir. And when optimizing your site, that's what it really comes down to is just, coming up like what Josh kind of broke it down, like the cool way that you're supposed to. I'm going to give you like the weird earnest way is like, you got this theory, right? That you just come up with like, man, I think this might work. And so let me try it. Right. And you're just like, man, it worked. Like more sales happen. But, at the end of the day, like, the strategy is like the actual industry lingo is split testing. So you want to be able to, have your control, like the one thing that remains the same versus like the one thing you change, and measure the performance based off of, the amount of traffic that you drive, versus like, when your main thing versus like the new thing that you change, and then measure the difference between the two. Like, so you drive 1,000 visitors and you have, 15 people convert, and then you drive 1,000 visitors and then 33 people convert. That's obviously more than 1,000. So boom, like, the thing that you were testing in the process of your hypothesis actually won and was true. And so that's the thing that you're now going to remain the same, and the thing that's going to be your new control when you decide to test that later down the road.
That's awesome, man. Well, cool. Well, I know we're getting towards the end here, so I want to be very respectful of your time. So we're actually going to go into a fun bonus round. So hope you're ready for this, man. It's a bonus round. So this is how it works. So I'm going to ask you a few questions just to close out, this interview. And each answer that you give has to be only one word.
Oh man, it's crazy. I wasn't prepared for this one. It is cool, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. So here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm. Let's let it rip.
Okay. So what caused your biggest e-com success to date?
Oh man, I wish you had some like Jeopardy music. You might have to like layer that on here or something.
Post-production.
Outsourcing.
Okay. What got you through your toughest moments as a business owner?
If I could make this 2 words, it would be right mindset.
Okay, so mindset will be 1 word.
Yeah. But right mindset, you can have a mindset, but having the right mindset.
So totally true, man. How would you describe yourself?
Amazing.
Love it. Okay. And then how does 2019 look for you?
Phenomenal.
Nice. Love it. Okay. Awesome. All right. So how can people follow you, once they've watched this or they've listened to this episode? How can people follow you and learn more from you?
Yeah, guys, you can check me out on social media. You can go to my personal site, which is earnestepps.com. And that's EARNESTEPPS. And that's also the same name across all social media. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp, Snapchat, Foursquare, Pinterest, the whole 9 yards.
Dang, everywhere. That's awesome.
Yes,
all right, guys. Well, Earnest is incredible, as you just experienced. Definitely follow him. Go to earnestepps.com. You can find him on his website. You can find him on just about every social media, even the ones we haven't even heard of yet, probably, because he's everywhere, because it's Earnest. And Earnest is awesome guy. Very giving, very altruistic, really cares about like his students and really cares about the success he's helping them generate in their businesses. He's done some incredible work for his students. He's done some incredible work for himself with his e-commerce businesses over the years. So you definitely want to follow him. He's definitely one of the guys to know. So go follow him now. Don't even waste your time. Just do it. Don't get distracted by anything on Facebook. Just go do it right now, because you definitely you're going to want to learn more from Earnest following this interview. So, Earnest, hey man, I really appreciate you being on here. It's been awesome. Thanks again for joining us.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you having me on, Josh. And yeah, guys, just make sure, again, like I talked about earlier with mindset, man. I always tell people, if your mind ain't right, your grind ain't right. So get that right and put the work ethic in. And there's absolutely no mystery on being able to create success in the e-commerce arena. And Josh is the guy that's going to help you navigate through that, through this amazing show that he's put together. So stay locked in, stay in tune with everything that he's going through with you guys, with all the amazing speakers. And man, we look forward to hearing everybody's super duper success stories from being a part of this series.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Earnest, it wouldn't be the series it is without you. So thanks again, man.
Awesome, bro. You guys have a great day.
Thank you for listening to e-commerce all-stars. By learning from the best, you're saving yourself time, money, and pain from trying to figure it out all by yourself. You can save yourself time, wasted advertising dollars, and stress from your Facebook ads right now by claiming a copy of Facebook Advertising Trends and Strategies for E-commerce, the 2019 edition. You can generate more results than you've ever experienced with Facebook ads. You can adapt to the current trends happening right now that are affecting business owners from getting the best possible results on Facebook. And you can discover how to scale your Facebook advertising results. All of this is possible for your business by learning from 13 of the best Facebook advertising experts in the world by claiming your copy of Facebook Advertising Trends and Strategies for E-commerce, the 2019 edition. Thanks for listening to E-commerce All-Stars.
E-commerce All-Stars.